even in the fight gyms, for example, they're not all unplugged. But as you sort of go down the list, there's less of those guys, and I would say there's probably more of the plugged in guys. And one of the things that I've learned about people in general is they don't generally want to hear your opinion. They want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth. So if you're in a room where there's a lot of plugged in dudes and you start to have conversations, it's almost like, you go in and, you raise your flag, you run up the flagpole and you're looking for people to salute, what you're about. Do they subscribe to your brand of whatever, it happens to be. And you're going to find a lot of them will challenge you on it. You're going to find a lot of plugged in guys. You're going to find them get upset with you. They're going to use a lot of the sign language tactics that women use: shame, insult, guilt, need to be right, stuff like that. Like I said earlier, they don't really want to hear your opinion when they're so plugged in. They want to hear their opinion coming out of your mouth, and they're not going to change it. They're not going to change their views, even if they're a member of a gun club or a cigar lounge or a fight gym or something like that, until they've hit some sort of chaos, right? I've talked about this before. The thing that leads most guys to the unplugging process, as I describe it, as it's written in my book, as we discuss with these podcast series, is some form of chaos in their life. That's just the truth of it. Divorce, she cheated on him, a business partnership went south and he got screwed, something that just derailed his life, that caused him to question the beliefs that he held so true and strong. Let me describe it this way. So there's a notion of a safe world theory, okay? And it's, if you can picture a house of cards, what a lot of guys do is they'll build a house, which is really just a house of cards, and it's very fragile. And they really ego invest in that building, in those ideas, in the entire ecosystem around it. You can think of each card as an idea. Like, you can put a card in that house of cards, happy wife, happy life. You can put another card in, like, just do the right thing all the time. You can put another card in, whatever it happens to be, so on and so forth. You get the point. And the safe world theory that you build, the bigger that you build it, when that chaos hits it and the whole fucking thing comes down, the bigger the house and the bigger you've built it and the more you've ego invested into it, the harder it is for you, right, to get past it, to unplug and stay unplugged. That's the other thing too. I've seen guys that will unplug, see the code in the matrix, they get it all, they understand what works and what doesn't work, and then they slowly revert back to the plugged in mindset, usually with something to do with a woman, girlfriend, wife, somebody that they're going to marry, sort of thing. And then you don't hear from them again, and then they go back to their same old bullshit, right? So that's one of the things that you're always going to risk at a much higher level when you're dealing with a lot of these outside communities. There's the notion of us versus them that Jack Donovan talks about in his books. He also makes it clear the way of men is the way of the gang. That's how men are. We're tribal. That's just how we roll. So finding a tribe of like-minded men, as I talked about in the opening with the request for this sort of podcast topic, I think is a good one. And it's certainly worth contemplating. So let's move on to how I solved my problem. I'm just reading this here from my laptop. I've got computer screens all around me today. So I didn't start solving this problem that I had with wanting to surround myself with better people until I probably had a few 100,000 subscribers on my channel. And guys were asking for meetups, get-togethers. What about some in-person training? I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching too. I still do it. You guys can find that on my website at RichCooper.ca. But I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, and people were asking for more. Hey, what about a get-together? Hey, I'm a member of this club. Can I invite you out? Like, that's how I met the guy that was a member of the gun club. He followed my content, sent me a message on Instagram. Hey, I know you like guns. I've seen your stuff. I'm a member of this club. Let's go shooting together. I didn't know the guy from a hole in the wall, but he was a nice enough dude. Met up with him, took me shooting, met a whole bunch of cool other people. So it was a little bit easier for me to sort of like suss all these guys out and sort of like move around and figure it out. But I knew that I needed to solve my problem. And I started very simply with a Patreon community, which I had to leave. I had to abandon because I saw how Patreon was treating its creators. And if you did or said anything that was outside of the box, they were deplatforming people. They were letting them go. And they didn't want to build my house on somebody else's foundation. I also investigated the board or the owner of Patreon, at the time, and he was a dork. He was a plugged in dork for sure. So I knew that I was in the wrong room again. So what do you do when you're in the wrong room, guys? You get out of the room, right? And then I started building out the community in other ways. Facebook was another platform that we tried. That didn't work because there was a time when I got banned on my own fucking private group. You'd think that you'd build a private group on a social media site like Facebook and they wouldn't bother you, but no, they still bother you. It's a private group, even though all the people in the group are private members and they've paid to be there. They'll still monitor your shit. And if they don't like something or the algorithms don't like something that you say or do, you get put in Facebook jail for a week, which was just stupid. It's like, how do I get locked out of my own community for a week because of something that the algorithms didn't like? So I was like, fuck Meta, fuck Zuckerberg. I'm done with that as well. So I had to build it on my own platform, which is working now. So if there's a ticker going on the bottom, entrepreneursandcars.com/community. I'm going to explain the community module the way that I've built it a little bit more. Actually, it's probably easier if I just pull it up on the screen here and do it that way. Yeah. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.